Thank goodness.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. I know that's like all I've said, but that is like a huge sigh of relief when that ball went over the wall and when that final out was made. Whoever you thank everybody. Thank goodness. I mean, that was almost the most frustrating loss of the season. Almost. This was almost going to be really not fun. And believe it or not, I enjoy covering winning baseball better than losing baseball, or more than losing baseball. But crazy concept, I know. But it's much more enjoyable and fun to talk about a winning team. And the Tigers now have won more games than they have lost again on the season. Back over 500, 21-20 on the year. The Tigers win this ball game 6-5. Thank goodness. That was legitimately my reaction. Was just it was actually an expletive, but that was the premise of it. So, I mean, when we talk about what went right and what went wrong, we won't bury the lead. What went right was the eighth inning. The eighth inning went abundantly right, went beautifully correct, if you will, for this baseball team. That was everything you want to see out of this offense, right? You had Winfield Perez, 2-hit night, actually, which is great. He had been kind of sliding a little bit lately, so good to see him get a couple of knocks, especially with Gio Urshela's return looming. I know I've been talking about it for like 2 weeks now, but it actually does sound like, based on what beat writers Evan Petzold and a few others have said, sounds like that actually is kind of right around the corner. He's played a few rehab games, etc. But good for him just to get hits in general, obviously, but especially with that kind of looming. We'll talk about the roster moves at the end of the show and stuff. Andy Ibanez, huge hit, obviously, after Winfield Perez. Andy Ibanez, that's awful righty, right? Huge hit. And we talked about it yesterday. The dude just puts the ball in play. That was a grind it out at bat. Huge. Absolutely huge. You know that if the ball is over, if the pitch is over the heart of the plate, really in the strike zone period, Andy Ibanez is not going to take it, for starters, which is more than what quite a few players on this team can say up to this point. But he's gonna hit it decently hard. All the respect in the world for that dude. So huge knock. And again, like, people were really dogging on the decision to, and we'll talk about this in stuff as well, the decision to pinch hit Ibanez for Carpenter in the first place. Obviously, in that moment, in that at bat, he did not come through. Hard fly out to almost the warning track, but he came up again in that same spot and came through that time against a righty. I'm not going to have too many issues unless he's pinch hitting for like Riley Green. I don't really think Andy Ibanez could pinch hit for anybody on this team. I'm not going to be too upset about it. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth later. So he gets the big knock. Matt Vierling with runners in scoring position is remarkable in unfortunately a very negative connotation. His RISP stats as a Tiger are astronomically poor, and this season this Tigers team, we know how they've done with RISP on the season. He is like the worst of the bunch. It's really staggering. So he strikes out. Spencer Torkelson comes up down 1 with 2 outs and a man on first in the 8th inning and hits the furthest home run of his career. An absolute bomb. That's 2 homers in 2 games. He's got what, an 8-game hit streak, is it now? There is still a ton of improvements that I want to see from Torkelson. Still had some pop-ups in this game. Still just like at-bats, what pitches to swing at, what not to, et cetera, right? Stuff we've already covered. But that is 2 homers in 2 days. The longest home run of his career in a clutch moment. Thank goodness. That maybe that's the title of this episode. Like that was just beautiful. It really was. And man, what hopefully we can look at as a huge moment for this ball club. If they go out and they lay an egg on Tuesday, we're not even gonna think about that. Vibes are high. We just won a ball game. Let's go. Fire me up. Okay? Don't even worry about Tuesday. It's not Tuesday. Actually, it is as you're listening to this. For me, it's not. So let's talk about here and now. The 8th inning was great, though, for real. And I think that you are finally starting to see, I mean, that was a hanging slider. And if, when he made his improvements, and this is kind of the silver lining of this whole thing, when he made his improvements last year, he started off slow, made his improvements, and then, had the really good second half. Couldn't hit anything, couldn't time up anything, then timed up pitches right over the middle of the plate and could do damage on those. And then by the end of the year, he was crushing just about everything, right? But August specifically was like his crazy month, right? So the hope is, and it is just a hope, right? I don't know. I can't predict the future. I wish I could. I'd be a cajillionaire. But the hope is that we're at the point where that trend is going to continue, right? That trend from last year is going to carry over to this year. Looked lost, legitimately lost. 2 homers in 2 games, hitting pitches hard over the middle of the plate. Hopefully that's a sign of things to come. Because he has been making adjustments. And AJ really went to bat for him after the game and was like, this dude cares a lot. And why wouldn't you believe that? Thank goodness. Okay. You gave your bullpen run support as well. The other beautiful thing about that 8th inning. I know we talk a lot about starting pitching run support. We'll talk about that at the end of the show with Reese Olson pitching on Tuesday. Bullpen run support is something we talked about yesterday, but that's kind of it, right? And the bullpen's been kind of put under a microscope lately and gotten some scrutiny, gotten some heat from the fan base because they can't hold every 2-1 game that this team goes out there and is a part of. It's very refreshing to give the bullpen some run support and make it so that they are not walking on pins and needles and not every single freaking mistake they make is just completely costly of the ballgame. Really nice, especially because Alex Fido specifically deserved credit for his performance. We'll talk about that right after this. Got to talk to y'all today about our friends over at Prize Picks. Look, baseball season is in full swing, as we know, so do not miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your Prize Picks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and then add them to your Prize Picks entries today. Get in on all the playoff action as well and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world's best players take the game to a whole new level during basketball's postseason, hockey's postseason, etc. It is a very, very fun time to be a sports fan. Spring sports scene is absolutely wonderful. You have a lot of fun stuff to get in on the action with, and you should do so with daily fantasy prize picks. Download the app and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2 of Locked On Tigers. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will be back tomorrow recapping Game 2 against the Marlins, a chance to win the series already in Game 2. Also, be sure to check out Locked On Sports Today, the free 24/7 streaming channel program for you every day on YouTube or for free in the Amazon Fire TV channels app. So we talked about the beautiful 8th inning that was. Let's talk about some other things that went right in this ball game. Talked a little bit about Winfield Perez. Thought that he had a good day at the office, some really good ABs, which is good because he had, like I said earlier, been kind of sliding a little bit lately. Alex Faedo in this ball game, I thought he went 2 1/3, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Obviously, the home run against. The home run was tough. That was an absolutely brutal pitch, and he knew it the second it left his hands. Started screaming. He knew it was not good right away. Hanging slider, like it was like the catcher called like throw the home run pitch. Like that's what it was. Besides that one pitch, I thought this was legitimately the best Alex Faedo has looked maybe ever. Certainly this season to me. I was really not looking forward to coming on here and saying how great I thought he looked after giving up a 2-run homer that I thought was going to lose us the ball game. I knew I was going to get a lot of heat for that, and people are going to be like, oh my goodness, shut up. So I'm really glad that I can do that with a little bit of weight off of my shoulders and a little bit more freely, if you will. So I'm glad that that they won for that reason too. But for real, I thought this was some of the best I've seen him look. The fastball, I think this was maybe the best fastball he has offered at the major league level in his entire life. For real. 94-96, getting a lot of swings and misses, especially up in the zone. And that's something that's been a reoccurring attack point for him all season. And it's been a huge, like far cry from what we were used to from Faedo, especially when he was a starter and had, was expected to give a little bit more innings. So it's really nice to see him just freely attack and rise that fastball up in the zone and get so many swings and misses on it. Clearly, they have found something analytically and with the ride on that pitch where they are not afraid to throw that thing up, and they shouldn't be. It is working wonderfully, and it has all season. Tonight was kind of like the pinnacle of it. Like I really thought that his fastball was, maybe this isn't the best outing of his career. Maybe I'm being too, recency biased, too hyperbolic, but like this was fastball, I think pretty objectively. That's the best fastball we've ever seen from him. The slider was great, but that's not really new. Like the slider's always great from him. The changeup was also disgusting. Absolute filth. 90-mile-an-hour changeups, circle changeups running away from lefties, right low and away. Look, he made one awful pitch and he knew right away, and I don't think would disagree with you, but outside of that, he was phenomenal. He was freaking unreal. 2.73 ERA even after the 2-run homer now on the season. I mean, went out there for a 3rd inning. Didn't finish it, but like 2 shutdown dominant innings. I think he deserves a ton of credit, and he won't because of the home run and how the game unfolded. But I feel, like I said, a lot more okay giving him credit and kind of pumping the tires there because of how the game ended. Jason Foley, 1 inning of perfect ball with 2 strikeouts. He touched 99 miles an hour again. Thank goodness. The theme of the episode. My goodness, man. Averaged a hair under 98 miles an hour. The slider was working. Got it backdoor, which is risky because that slider is not a huge plus pitch for him. Going backdoor to lefties, right? If that thing rides over the heart of the plate, you're maybe in for some trouble, but absolute beauty. He was hitting his spots. 2 strikeouts as well, getting some swings and misses. Threw the slider a lot. It was working. It was effective. Really need him to get back on track with how he looked early in the season. I don't even need, the 101 miles an hour or whatever that he was pumping the first week of the season. If we can just get this, if we can just get 98, 99 consistently again with some swing and miss ability, I think we'll all gladly take that. So yeah, that is, thank goodness. And like, this is why I enjoy this new format. We didn't always do this. If you're a new listener, we didn't always do, list out everything that went right, list out everything that went wrong, and then, stuff. We didn't always do that. I kind of just like free-for-all games, in the past, especially my first year hosting. And so I'm glad that we've found kind of a comfortability in a home doing it this way, because we can celebrate the good without just pretending like it's all sunshine and rainbows, right? And like this was just some beautiful, perfect win and like nothing went wrong. So, like, let's talk about what went wrong. This was not an inspiring game for the first 7.5 innings. This was a really, really frustrating ball game. And the offense, particularly, was not inspiring. 0 earned runs off Sixto Sanchez is wild. He had a 7.5 ERA going into this ball game. He ended, it was sub-6. 1 outing, it was sub-6. 0 earned runs. You scored 3 runs off of him, but they were all after an error that really should have ended the inning. I mean, really, like everybody that took the mound in this game. This Marlins team is awful, man. Brutal. Again, Locked On Marlins does a fantastic job, by the way, for whatever that's worth to you. But like Sixto, 7.5 ERA entering the game. Nardi, 6.35 ERA entering the game. He went 1-2 innings of shutout ball against you. The Javi Baez, Zach McKinstry duo back-to-back in this lineup may... if I wake up tomorrow and I have less hair on my head than I thought that I should have or that I had today, I'm going to blame that. I'm 100% blaming Javi and Zach McKinstry batting back-to-back in the lineup. Now, McKinstry went 0 for 2 with 2 walks in this game. So, like, was getting on base. Fine. Great. I don't need to see that, really. I'm good. I'm okay. AJ. I appreciate it. I'm good, though. I know that my opinion obviously means the world to the Tigers. Obviously not even remotely true, but I'm good on that. And like, again, like this was just if it wasn't for a brutal error in the second inning, you legitimately may have gotten shut out by Sixto Sanchez. Like you may have, and again, you can lump in all the relievers too. You may have just not scored a run in the first 7 innings against the Miami Marlins and their bullpen. Riley Green's been slipping for the last 4 or 5 games. And it was just, it's not like they weren't getting on base. It was just another game where they just refuse to string hits together and like string base runners together. Like you had a hit here and a hit there and a base runner here, and nothing came of it besides, again, the error. And then obviously finally got some clutch hitting in the 8th inning, and all of that goes away and washes over you, and you feel the rain on your skin. No one else can feel it for you. It was very frustrating until it wasn't, was really how like the only way I know how to articulate the feeling that I had. Genuinely. Like it was really, really frustrating. And then 446 feet later, it wasn't. Joey Cora sending Zach McKinstry was one of the most ridiculous sends I have ever seen in my entire life. I have, some people give me a hard time because I am way more forgiving of the aggressive base running than a lot of other people, because I try to articulate that on the show. Like this offense, I think pretty clearly at this point is not super great, right? So you need to be able to, or you need to rather just apply pressure to the defense, force them to make plays. If it was even a relatively close send, I would have been like, look, Carson Kelly was on deck with 2 outs. What were the odds that he was going to score anyway, right? But that was, it was really ridiculous. Go look at Evan Petzold tweeted out, the exact still freeze frame of when Cora decided to send McKinstry. It's hilarious. There's really no other word. It is objectively funny. He's not even halfway to third. And Joey Cora's like, yeah, dude, go. It was one of the most wild decisions I've seen. So I am very pro the aggressive base running. I think it's needed on this team. I know that that's going to come with some throwouts at home and some plays that some of the fan base is frustrated with. That does not fall under this tree. That was absolutely preposterous. Okay, glad we got that out of the way. Let's talk stuff. All right, we'll do all of that right after this. Got to talk to you all today about our friends over at Policy Genius. Policy Genius saves you time and money to provide your family with financial safety nets starting today. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million of coverage. Some options offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it. You can talk to a team of award-winning agents who will walk you through the process step by step, easily compare quotes from America's top insurers, and in just a few clicks, find your lowest price. Your work life insurance policy may just not offer enough protection for your family's needs. And Policy Genius gives you the unbiased advice from a licensed expert support team. And the best part is they have no incentive to recommend one insurer over another. So you can trust their guidance fully. Thousands of 5-star reviews on Google and Trustpilot with customers who found the best fit for their needs. So check life insurance off your to-do list with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB or click on the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/LockedOnMLB. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Let's talk stuff. Okay, I have a lot of stuff to be honest with you to go over in this ball game. The Marlins are bad. And this was we'll talk about it in a second. You barely won, right? That was a close call against a really bad team. That doesn't take away from the fact that that is not a good baseball team over there. And I hope that you can win the next 2 games. I really do. You should. You ought to. You probably should. So that was just something that really stood out to me while watching this one. Matt Manning, 5 2/3, 9 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts, a lot of curveballs in this one. And I thought they were pretty good, to be honest. A lot of hitters were swinging at it all night, got a lot of offerings, and I was pretty fine with that. On the flip side, I absolutely genuinely despised his slider or sweeper thing, whatever you want to call it. It was pretty much completely and entirely ineffective. A lot of the hits in the 5th inning, almost all of them, were because of that pitch, and it was a complete nothing burger. With 2 outs, was getting 2 strikes, just didn't matter. The fastball we know is weird and inconsistent, but it's also been really effective for pretty much all of his major league career. It got swings and misses up and away to lefties, especially in this one. The issues I have with Matt Manning on the field were the issues that plagued him in this ball game, right? In high leverage counts, when his back is against the wall, there's 2 outs, 1-2 count, whatever, and he's trying to get out of the inning. He doesn't have a pitch that can finish a hitter. He doesn't. And in this game, that reared its ugly head, right? And again, this wasn't a bad line. Like I said, 9 hits is high for less than 6 innings, but 5 strikeouts, 3 earned runs. He was an out away from a quality start. It's just he wasn't awful, but he just didn't look significantly different either. But that all being said, his ERA is lower than Kenta Maeda's, and I think a lot of the fan base has more confidence in him than Kenta Maeda at this present moment. So we'll see what happens when Maeda is hopefully healthy soon again. Obviously that, respiratory, that's kind of scary. Hopefully he's good, but when he's healthy again, it's probably going to be Manning just going back down. I would be surprised if it wasn't, but he has a real opportunity here to get a couple of starts under his belt and show that he, stuff has changed or that he's made adjustments. And in this outing, I don't think there was a ton of that. That's all. But again, not an ineffective outing, just what we were used to, which isn't even necessarily bad. He's been a sub-4 ERA pitcher the last 2 years. So he's just so weird. Matt Manning continues to be really weird. The Ibanez pinch hit for Kerry Carpenter, we alluded to it a little bit earlier on. 2 outs, runners in scoring position, a runner in scoring position. You have to go with your better hitter in that situation. It sucks to lose Kerry Carpenter, but I have zero issues with that decision. None at all. And it just got inside on it, right? Just barely couldn't get in on it quick enough. Andy Ibanez, right? That was almost a 3-run homer, felt just short. But like Andy Ibanez destroys lefties. Kerry Carpenter is hitting 200 against lefties on the season. And you can find at bats for Kerry Carpenter to hit against lefties without having it be like the super high leverage moments when you need to bring a run home. And again, it didn't work, but I try really hard not to have results-based bias. Baseball is 162 games. There's a lot of decisions. It is not as simple as, in my head at least, plenty of people disagree. In my head, it is not the decision you made, if it doesn't work out, is automatically the wrong one. That I don't think that that's how baseball works. I had zero issue with it. And again, Ibanez came up again against a righty next time through the lineup and came through. So again, and not that Carpenter wouldn't have, you'd much prefer, right? It sucks losing Carpenter for the remainder of the game. That was obviously the biggest issue. If I was to have an issue with it, it just would have been, the fact that we were only halfway through the ball game and he was going to get another at bat. But in that moment, I think you need to do everything in your power to try to bring home another run. And I think that Andy Ibanez was the better option over Carp in that specific moment. So it's a little bit of chess there. Again, sucks to lose Carpenter for the remainder of it. But it worked out. It worked out, the decision ultimately. So also, Zach McKinstry's a part of a lot of weird things in this game. His slide on the double play. Look, I love old-fashioned ball, all right? I am all for breaking up the double play, right? I don't want to injure people. I'm not trying to say, go spikes up and put someone on the injured list. Not what I'm trying to do or encourage at all. But I love, hard slides to break up some double plays. I love that kind of hard-nosed baseball like that. That being said, I don't know how that wasn't. He didn't slide into the base. He clearly just aimed for the second baseman there, shortstop. I don't remember who covered on that, but back in the day, that would have been super legal. In today's ball, right? In today's league, that is not, right? You have to show that you are clearly, and this is an umpire's subjective opinion, which is why it's kind of a gray area, but you have to be attempting to go to second base. You have to prove that you're sliding into the bag if there's contact on a slide like that. They were showing the angles. I don't think I saw much of an attempt to get to the bag. But I really do respect the heck out of the play, though. Again, that's smart baseball. That's hard-nosed ball. Just really glad that no one was hurt first and foremost on the play. But yeah, I don't know how that was. Like, it wasn't even reviewed or anything. They just let it go. I was kind of surprised by it. Ryan Valade sent down before this ball game. Matt Manning obviously filling his spot and getting called up. Another roster move. Shelby Miller to the IL has a ulnar nerve inflammation, I believe, is the diagnosis there. I'm not a doctor. Doesn't sound great. AJ's quote was pretty. I don't know, didn't really give us too much information. It just said, quote, "We'll take it day by day and see how long it takes." Okay, that sounds like every injury ever, so I have no clue what that means. But Bo Brisky is called up. He actually wasn't on time to the ball game. He got there in like the 4th or 5th inning, I think. But look, Bo Brisky was somebody that was phenomenal in spring training, pumping 98, 99 miles an hour. Really, really good changeup, really good fastball out of the bullpen. Doesn't have an east-west, yeah, that's right, pitch, though. Doesn't have a horizontal pitch. Has been trying to work on that in the minors, has been striking a lot of people out in the minors. Hopefully that translates. This is a guy that I thought should have made the opening day roster, like was a slam dunk to make the opening day roster and didn't. I was surprised when he didn't. And we're getting to see him already only a month and a half into the season. So hopefully Shelby Miller is all right. He had been struggling lately. We've talked about that. Hopefully, he can get healthy and kind of look a little bit more like he did at the beginning of the season, or, with the Dodgers last year, obviously. But yeah, wishing him a speedy recovery and good opportunity to see Bo Brisky and see if he's worked on the things that we talked about in spring training. Akil Baddoo stays for now with Ryan Vilade getting sent down. It sounds like when Gio Urshela comes back in the coming days, probably by the end of the week here, I mean, Baddoo would be the obvious choice to get sent down, right? I would imagine. So we'll see what happens with that. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. You could really see, the relief on Torque after he hit that ball, man. Like, he knew it right when he hit it. His body language after the homer, obviously getting fired up there, but that just had to feel amazing. And I'm genuinely so happy for the dude. I hope that it is a turning point. I really hope it is. There is still plenty of stuff to iron out, as we talked about earlier. But he's been looking better. 2 homers in 2 games. I'm hoping that is a turning point. And you know what? At the end of the day, this was a come from behind, close 1-run victory over the worst team in baseball, and a starter who has been terrible this season, has barely pitched the last 3 seasons. I'm not trying to throw a parade over a 1-run victory over the Miami Marlins. Okay. I'm really not. This isn't some remarkable accomplishment, and we should all be very, very abundantly clear about that. But I sure do hope that it's a sign of things to come, not only for Torkelson, but hopefully some sort of moment that this team can build on and go win a series. Go out there today and take care of business. You sucked the life out of this team that you gave life, unfortunately. Go take this series. And okay, I don't know why my computers gave a thumbs up there. Go take this series. Go put yourself in a position where you can potentially sweep going into Wednesday. And be 3 games over 500 going into the weekend. Right this ship. Thank goodness. Game 2 tonight. Drew Weathers, 4.54 ERA versus Reese Olson at 2.52 ERA. Reese Olson, who is 0-4 on the season. Please, for the love of everything, give Reese Olson some run support. It's Drew Weathers. You're okay. I promise you're okay. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will be back tomorrow, recapping hopefully a win over the Miami Marlins. One more time, thank goodness. I appreciate you all greatly. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then, baby. Go Tigers.